Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, on behalf of your Denver-based podcast crew, we appreciate you joining us for the Friendly Vibes.
Coming to you live from TSS Universidad.
Are we live?
I mean, it's going to be live.
Okay, all right.
We're not actually live though now.
Okay, thank God.
We're live only in the sense that you're looking at me, I'm looking at you, and we're going to have a conversation.
That we are alive.
We're alive.
Yes, yeah.
I'm alive. Man, I'm so glad to be joined today by my esteemed guest, a gentleman who shares the love for basketball because the government makes us do it when you're this big. Sunee Dhaliwal, Toronto comedian, now Denver comedian.
Yes. Started in Vancouver.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, don't worry. We're not live. We can just edit that out.
No. I consistently make myself look like a dumbass, and I'm never going to pull those moments out.
Right.
Those learning moments got to stay in.
Yeah. Very esteemed.
So you started in Vancouver, then Toronto?
Yeah. So started in Vancouver, moved to Toronto for 4 years, and then Edmonton actually before coming here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you a hockey fan up there? You got to be, right? That's like another law.
That is a law, yeah, and I think I broke it. I think being in Vancouver, I was like, I enjoy hockey, but I don't watch it unless I'm at a game. And I think I was the only Vancouver comedian that didn't smoke weed. So those are the two things that were law that I did not do.
So you're already bringing something against the law into your Colorado comedy scene life.
Yes.
I'm sure you get past the joint very frequently in outside shows and around town.
Yeah. Anytime they hear that I'm from Canada, Vancouver specifically, they're like, hey, so you want to go smoke weed? And I'm like, I don't. And then they're just shocked.
For the longest time, I made it through most of high school and like staying away from it. You know, it was a thing in middle school growing up in Boulder, Colorado. You know, people are just 13, 14. You're not going for drinks. You're going to smoke weed as kids.
Yeah. And this is the first state that legalized it, correct? This in Washington.
Yeah. First, I think we had that first medical, and then maybe we were like second on the rec. I think Washington got under us on that one.
Okay. I still find it hard to get mushrooms around here, though.
Because they're legal, but you can't sell them legally. It's like a whole weird thing.
It's like they're decriminalized. We went through that. In Canada.
What was that like up there? You guys have legal?
And it was like the cops would like just look away from weed for the longest time, and then we just legalized it throughout the country.
So Vancouver in what, like the 80s and 90s? When did you guys legalize it?
That's a really good question.
This would be a great episode to have production.
Yeah. No, that's a really good question because in my entire life I'm just like, oh, this is legal, and then like I would see people getting like tickets for it. So I'm like, oh, I guess it's not legal.
So it was just kind of like a little like a parking violation.
Right. And then there was this dude. Okay, this is
2018. Oh, that's when
2018.
As with the rest of Canada. Okay.
Yeah,
so before that, it was just a parking ticket in Vancouver in that province.
But we did Vancouver legalize having small doses of like MDMA on you and everything like that. And so this one guy said that he is opening up a store with cocaine, MDMA, a little bit of heroin. And the reason why they were doing this is because of overdoses or like withdrawals or whatever. If they
were trying to give safe access to the drugs. And so this guy, he opens it up and he's like marketing it. And he's like, whatever you need, like he's in the papers. And the second he opened it up, it was like almost like a food truck. He like lifted the thing up, and as soon as he lifted the thing up, a cop came and just put his arm around his back and like, all right, you're going to jail. You can't. It's not, dude.
Yeah, you're not allowed to sell it.
It was just crazy.
It was awesome.
Yeah, what a weird like social problem to try to have to fix from a public policy standpoint. You got people that are clearly going through tough times, struggling with afflictions. They've turned to drugs and substances. Now they're dependent on those drugs and substances. We want, as a state, probably, if we want the welfare of all people, to make sure they are able to do clean substances and not just die, not leave people behind or have any path to getting back to the life that they could be living.
Right. Exactly.
But then on the other side, you don't want a guy that's out on the streets going, hey, I'll sell you whatever you need. Come on down to Bill's, drugstore. I've got all the drugs you need.
Right.
That's not good either.
Yeah. You just don't want like people to have like open access to it to try it for the first time and then eventually get addicted to it.
But. Yes, there shouldn't be a thing where you're a teenager in a park with your friends. You run into the wrong guy. and have $20 on you when you shouldn't, and then you ruin your life.
And that's actually how it works.
It totally
that's how it works across the world.
I do think it's something where we've pushed away from oversimplifying. Like, oh no, things are more complex. Like, no, we're all a few bad compounded decisions away from being addicted and struggling.
Yeah. I'm not even a few, just one. I will do it on this podcast.
No, I'm the same. I come from good Irish stock, and I've got some Cuban, so I don't like authority, but I love substances. I think it's in my blood.
It's great. I have a very addictive personality, so as soon as I start something, it takes me a long time to get off of it. And I mean with everything. Like I used to I like bowling.
Bowling. Yeah.
I like bowling, and when I first started bowling, I would go every week. To a point where I started looking at leagues and my own bowling ball. Yeah. And shoes.
And then you got to get the glove.
Yeah. And then you got to get that wrist guard to keep the wrist straight. And then literally 4 months later, I didn't bowl for like 2 years. And now it's just a fun thing that I do, if my friends want to go bowling. But at that time, I was like serious about it.
So in your adolescence, you were kind of someone who would dive in obsessively to what you were into, and then eventually that rotates to the next thing.
Yes.
I'm the exact same kind of way, man.
And to this day. And that's why I can't do weed. It's
just too easy to fall too heavy into one thing, and then other parts of your life that you're keeping ahead in
I would slip. I would have dreads. You know what I mean?
You look fucking sick. I mean, you look sick already, but jeez.
Yeah, I just feel like this. I saw people that shouldn't have dreads at a Lauryn Hill concert. Oh. Yes, I counted the white people with dreads. I was like, this is insane. I've never seen somebody.
What'd you get to? 8, 9? How many?
Yeah, I think I got to like 12. Like, it was definitely double digits.
Come on,
I want to say 14, but I might be, just inflating the numbers.
Do better, folks.
Yeah.
Let me talk to the fellow whites out there. Keep it together now. That's not for us, would you please?
I said that yesterday. I was just saying whites.
The whites.
Yeah, it was someone we were watching Netflix, and someone just had like a very southern draw, and I think that's so cool.
Oh man.
And the dude. Okay, so she's talking to this person, and he literally lived across the street from her, right? Like, it was like, oh yeah, this area. So it's like we were like neighbors, like I lived 2 blocks down, and he spoke like this, and then she had the thickest southern accent.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it's just the company you keep, I guess.
Dang. Yeah, I'm fascinated by is there a southern drawl in rural Canada? Or is it like a different type of rural drawl?
There is.
Or is that a bad question?
No, there is a, that Canadian accent that everybody thinks that we have?
Yeah, you guys do.
And I mean, right now, think about it. But it's.
Hey, I've seen you drop some A's.
No.
It's subtle.
A is fine. A is just
You see, okay. I guess I come from it as I went to college in Iowa, and the Wisconsin, Minnesota accent. You get little it's like fairy dust in a conversation,
right? Yeah, right. Yeah. But the whole like what you talking about, right? Yeah, all that stuff. That
super
is
overplayed.
But that's far east. That is Newfoundland. Call it like a Newfie accent, and they have different slang. And you would say like an accent, like a draw, like. The first time I went there, I do a lot of crowd work, so I asked somebody a question, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck you just said. So I had to get a translator, and it was like, all right, I'm not talking to anybody, these shows. So that's where it came from. That's the stereotypical Canadian accent. Now, Toronto.
So it all came out from that stereotype about one province, and now since Americans have dull glasses, that's now the lens of all of the Canadian influence.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, some people will get it like, I would never say middle Canada, but we call it the prairies. But yeah, the middle of Canada, some people have it there. And then Toronto has its own accent. That's not like anything else in the world.
Yeah, it's because it's so influenced by different cultures.
Yes, and then everyone's very high pitched. And when I was living there, again, I'm so addicted to just everything. When I would drink and I would get like really drunk, you could tell because I would start using the slang, and my voice would get high pitched. I'm like, what the? You've been in Toronto for 3 months, and I'm like, I know, it's insane.
I mean, that's just good. What do they call it? Assimilation, right?
Right. Yeah.
That's what they used to hope for back in the day.
I'm just trying to be a melting pot, everybody.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah. Like even like it's wild. Like even like the police will say it, right? Like a 90-year-old Asian lady has that accent. Like it's crazy.
Can you describe it at all for someone that like doesn't know about Toronto? And
No. I would just say look it up.
Can I go back to a question?
Yeah.
Newfoundland is above where in my mind I'm thinking Toronto's it's to the west of New York, west and north of New York, right?
Right.
Okay.
Like it's the border of Ontario, like Niagara Falls, is like Buffalo.
Right. Okay. Buffalo.
And then, yeah. If you
and then Newfoundland's above that, and that's where it starts getting out into the cool, like it looks Canada on a map looks like icebergs breaking off into the sea.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like east of that. But like, yeah, a little bit above.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just like, it's kind of like, honestly, the northeast of America,
right?
Where, like, where's New Hampshire on a map? Like, I would just like label it just in big letters, like like it's in here somewhere.
Right,
It's like, and then that's what we have. We have a bunch of these islands, and then that's we call it the East Coast. Yeah, East Coast. So like, you have Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, PEI, New Brunswick. We have all these little tiny segments that are different provinces.
And that's the most heavily segmented by province part of Canada versus the rest of it.
Right. Yeah.
Just like the US.
Exactly. Like during COVID, you were safe to travel within your own country at one point, on airplanes with masks and stuff. And the East Coast had their own bubble where you could not, you had to stay within that. So even if you went
to Sea Bear Zone, they drew a little circle in the sand. They said,
so like, even if you went, like a province over in your own country, they were like, nah, you got to quarantine for, that time, because they weren't trying to keep that segment of the country safe.
And you moved down here in the past year, right?
Yeah. April 1st, officially, I've been in Denver.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, April 1st, officially. So you went through all of COVID in Canada.
Yeah.
I would love, I don't know if you'd be interested to talk about it, but
I would love it.
I have been fascinated by what I've seen as a fall of a great world power to the influences of some undemocratic things,
Yeah.
When I see people's bank accounts being frozen, I don't really care what they said or did unless it's really bad. That seems like an overstep of power.
Right.
When I see, free speech protests being broken down, whether it's for Black life or for trucker rights or for farming rights, like, hey, we probably shouldn't be doing that with our social resources.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, so I'll tell you how it was in Canada.
I did a terrible job leading you into a question. No, I just fucking spouting off.
So I'll tell you how it was in Canada, and then I'll tell you. No, you know what? I'll just give you my point of view of it first. I think everybody staying at home on their phones, on social media, was the worst thing. Like, if we didn't have that, I think we would have been okay. If you got your sources from one, your information from one source, which, again, very, it's what's the word I'm looking for?
It's open for propaganda. Right, it can be easily abused. Yeah.
Yes, very dangerous. Yeah, right?
Right.
Obviously, I totally admit that. But when you're getting it from too many sources and non-credible ones, now what's real and what's not? And then I had a conversation with my friend, who's not bright, but he said, you just don't know what's real. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, you kind of do, right? And he's like, no, like, because, first they said, don't wear masks, right? Like the masks won't help. And now they're saying masks do help. I'm like, yeah, but like, we don't know what this is. And at first we didn't know if it was airborne or not. And then now it's like, hey, it's airborne. So masks, everybody wears a mask. We're good. And then he goes, yeah, you just don't know who to trust. I'm like, the scientists, trust the doctors and scientists, not your Uncle Ron. That's right. Cause that's what they were getting the information. And then, people didn't know what algorithms were at the time. So you're just getting fed your own, thing that you like, You're
in this echo chamber that you've created that you don't even know you're in.
Exactly. And you're like, see, I knew this was correct. And it's just a meme, it's just a graph. But, I will say this, I both sides, of like, people just getting, so I was on the west coast of Canada,
okay,
in Vancouver, and my friends that were in Toronto, it was, the provinces, just like the states, were in charge of their own province. They left it up to, provincial
And so if you've got a leadership group that's very aligned in a certain province, they can take actions.
Right. And then also like, so one province, you can do whatever you want, but the other province, complete lockdown. Like so my friends are living in Ontario and they had, the province over had a curfew.
What?
Yeah. Like you couldn't be out at a certain time. I'm like, that's crazy. That's like, they had lockdown and my other friends are like, so they're sick of it. And it's also colder there. And here in, where I'm at in BC, it's like you can go to patios. If it's open air, it's okay. So what they did was they would just like, there was a couple of restaurants where
they just build an additional restaurant outside.
Exactly. Right. And then
absolutely crazy.
But there's a couple of restaurants that had like sliding glass doors because it's, relatively warm in Vancouver. And as opposed
barn
to
door setup.
Yes, barn door setup. So they just opened the barn door and they're like, this is free flowing.
Nice.
And it was like COVID wasn't even a thing. So they're looking at my Instagram and they're looking at my Snapchat and they're like, this is not fair.
And they're frustrated.
Yeah, of course. And so I totally understand them. And then I went to the Texas of Canada, which is Alberta, in every sense of the word, like, sense of the comparison. It's very spread out. The cities and everything, and it's a big oil province, big on beef, and very red. If that was a thing in Canada, very red province.
What used to be could have been red.
Right, exactly. And
who's the new guy that they're like trying to Pierre? Is that his name?
Oh,
is that the opposition to Trudeau, Pierre something?
Right. Yeah.
I don't know if that's like a far right guy or if that's not, but I see some of his speeches and I'm like, this guy is at least articulate about, relaying the problems you're hearing from Canadians about paying for groceries and childcare and.
Since April 1st, I just forgot. I just don't even bother with Canada anymore. I'm a true American. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, we'll have you.
Yeah. I'm just ignorant to everybody else. So I am the fully point of view American. But I went there and they had high levels of COVID, like
cases, deaths,
sorry.
and everything. Yeah.
Deaths. And there was this. There's this rodeo that comes to town every year, and the premier of the province was just like, all right, we're going to get this number down and we're going to open this up. And literally right before that rodeo, he's like, all right, everybody, no rules. COVID is over. It doesn't exist. And that's why I decided to stay there.
Wow.
Because comedy, like I get to do
the only place you could do your job.
Exactly. And I'm like, yo, this is
scary, but weird.
Yeah, really scary. But this is great.
Yeah.
I got COVID 3 times. So yeah, it was a real thing.
And then did they make you like get vaccinated to do comedy in the clubs up there, or was that not so? Yeah.
You had to have and that's the other thing too.
Like my work, even though I was at a small place, it's small enough where the government mandate of if you have over 50 employees didn't apply to us, but our company is still like has their hands tied to be like, yo, get vaccinated.
Right. Yeah. And we had that too. But again, so it was up to the province. So like in BC, you had a digital QR code. If you had both shots, so you would go to a restaurant, you'd show it, they would scan it, and it's like, yeah, this person's clear. In the Texas of Canada, they had a piece of paper, that you could Photoshop. Right, it was like easy. I had 3 of them, different names. Even though I had a real one, it was hilarious, and it was just because of this rodeo. Like he's like even his own cabinet, like he would be on the news every week. And he would be like, he would be like, all right, Alberta is open for summer, is how he did the campaign. And one of his own members said, hey, but the cases keep going up. And he's like, Stampede, that's what it's called. And then November comes around and the Stampede's over. Huge spike. I don't know how that happened.
Crazy.
Yeah. And he goes, no one could have saw this coming. Like everybody saw this coming. Stevie Wonder saw this coming.
This is a stampede of things that we did not foresee.
Well, exactly. Yeah. I don't know.
I hate to put it in terms you'll understand, folks, but
right. Yeah. Oh man, it was awesome.
The rodeo clown's over the fence and out of the corral. I don't know what to do, folks. Help me out. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's being a young. How old are you?
38.
38. Well, you look great for 38.
Thank you.
Seriously. I hope I look that good at 38. Jesus.
You won't.
No.
It's
because of moisturizing.
Yeah, it's the melanin. That's another thing too. I've never lotioned so much in my life being here. It is dry. It is really dry. I got a moisturizer. Never had that before. It's dry out here.
Most people get a vat. You just slip in the vat in the morning.
Yeah. You just like kind of bathe in it. Yeah.
It's just a quick like post bath soak.
Yeah. That's one thing they don't tell you about Denver. Like it's more sunny days than San Diego.
Take that, San Diego.
Yeah. Mountains are beautiful. But they don't tell you like it's going to be dry.
Yeah. I mean, I can't. When I went to college in Iowa, it's humid and it's like brutal for someone that grew up here. It's just like, I don't see why there needs to be water in the air because I grew up here. But everywhere else in the world, it's like, why is there no water in the air here?
Right. Yeah, no, that's the thing. Yeah, if you're used to it, you're fine. But like, when anybody from Denver goes to Vancouver, they're like, man, it's so humid. I'm like, it's not even that humid.
Yeah,
like you
really
need to go to Florida
like
or
Mississippi.
Exactly. Yeah, and then you'll see.
I'd be like full black comedian on stage if I did a Southern tour. I'm multiple handkerchiefs. Like I'm going through them. I'm patting up in between jokes.
Oh man, I didn't know where you're going.
Bottles and bottles of water. Yeah,
just
for sure.
Saying the N word.
No. Full suit. Full suit. 4-piece.
You're about to get canceled.
Lots of dabbing.
Yeah. No, I love that. Yeah, that's great.
I wore a pocket square for a guest set I did, and I just, it didn't fit the outfit, and I was like, I'm going to use this to dab my face because I'm going to sweat, and then I just didn't, and I didn't address the fact that I had this weird ass part. It was just like, that's funny.
Do you sweat on stage?
Oh yeah, I sweat all the time, bro. You can't be this big and not sweat.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Do you not sweat on stage?
Not even a little bit.
Good for you.
Yeah, I have a bunch of friends that are like, not that big, but they just drenched in sweat. And I always thought it was like really weird. Like, I get it. It takes a lot to move this body, right?
Well, I think I'm getting closer to your side of the fat. I mean, I'm losing weight. I'm down from 340 to like 250.
Well, just even the height, like just to move this body takes a lot of effort, right? Like this jersey size is a California King. It used to be a bed sheet,
and my feet still dangle.
Right. So like even like the shorter comedians or whatever, they just sweat a lot, and I always just like, you're talking on stage for 5 minutes. Why are you tired?
Yeah.
Like, why are you sweating?
Yeah.
And I know it's the lights and stuff, but it's just wild to me.
Yeah, that's funny. Maybe I'll get better about it, but I've always sweat, even like, as a kid in school and sports. I was always just a sweaty motherfucker.
Yeah. There's a comedian, shout out to Patrick Hay. He's from Toronto. Coolest comedian. Both ways.
Patrick, come on the pod, please.
Yeah.
I'm both ways too.
In every sense of the word, coolest comedian. It was so like cool in general, right? The slang term. And it was summertime. Everyone's in like t-shirt. People are wearing shorts on stage because it's that hot in Toronto. This guy goes on jeans, t-shirt, leather jacket.
Oof.
Does not break a sweat at all, and then he just like leaves. He's like, all right, fellas, I'm out.
What a pro.
Like, it was hilarious. I was like, how are you not hot? And he's like, I'm just cool.
I'd be dripping.
Yeah,
be the name of my tour, dripping on strangers. The tight room tour of Sean Connolly across the country.
Dripping on strangers is a fire name for an album.
Thanks. I'll keep that in the back pocket if we ever need it.
Yeah, dripping on strangers.
A little kill box. That would be a good place to do like a little 30. I'm just gonna drip, folks. I ran a mile to get here.
No punchlines, just drips. That
would be funny if you did like I walk on stage already completely soaked.
Yeah. Hey, sorry everybody, I had to get up here. There's two steps.
Car broke down.
Yeah. How long have you been at the Comedy Works?
I've been at Comedy Works now, a year and a half now, something like that.
Oh wow. Yeah. Okay.
So nice. Door, and now I've been the sound guy for about a year. So
yeah, great. How are you liking it?
It's good. Now, I love watching that much comedy. I love being near comedy. I work a day job, so I work like 60, 70 a week.
Now, did you decide to get a job there? One, because you like comedy, but two, it'll give you some sort of access on stage?
Oh, no.
The stage?
No.
Just because you like comedy?
No, because it's not a developmental club. If it was a developmental club, it'd be different. But
right. Okay.
No. I was a door guy in college in Cedar Rapids at Penguins.
Yeah.
That was my first like venture into I was a fan of comedy for a decade before that, but then I thought I knew what comedy was, and then you go work in it and you're like, oh, I don't know shit about this art form.
Right.
And then I worked there for a few years, and I had really bad back problems, like terrible chronic pain. So I graduated college and moved back and was dealing with that. So I didn't get up. I couldn't go to mics because I couldn't sit around for an hour and a half, and I couldn't fucking couldn't stand up without hurting.
Yeah.
It was brutal. So, got my back surgery, got what needed to be done there. And thankfully it all worked out for the best. And then 6 months after that, I was like, all right, I'm just going to work, going home, sleeping, this is not I'm losing the part of my soul that made me me. Mm-hmm. I have to claw back, even if it's a second job and it's just hard work, do it.
Yeah.
And so that was that. And then that helped me kind of carve that untraditional path. I've been doing the pod for 3 years now. So, that in conjunction with that has just kind of helped spur that love for it.
Right.
And keep it going.
That's awesome. Cause there was, a friend of mine that, also, worked the door at a comedy club, but he was at that stage where he would be on stage a lot. And so people would come, they would see him on stage. And then like the next time they would come, he would be working the door. And then people would be like, oh, hey man, I saw you last week. You were very funny. And then he's like, thank you. And he's like, so what are you doing? And then he had to quit, but then find another job somewhere else because he couldn't take that whole thing of like, I'm here, but I was there.
That's
last week I was this other guy.
Yeah, that's funny. See, I'm thankful. I think that I've had enough shit happen to me in my life, in the short life I've had, that I'm like so broken apart of myself. Like, I don't think I'm worth anything, which has kind of served in a good and a bad way, where like I'm like kind of playing with the bank's time. Where it's like, right. Like, why be upset or defeatist about working 70 hours a week or not feeling fulfilled in your day job, or, let's be excited about smoked chicken wings, folks. Like, there's so many beautiful things to refocus. And, I think one thing in the last year that I've come to realize is that my aperture of my brain, like I'm not the smartest or the best at public speaking, but like I've got a good aperture, and like, all right, I'm going to lean into trying to like work on that aperture and keep growing that skill set. Cause maybe that's something that enough other people aren't mining at, that in, 15 years, I'll have a different perspective because of working on that aperture.
Right. I mean, hey, you may not be the smartest, but using aperture, you're up there. You're up there.
No. God, that's the second time I've been roasted, folks, for using that fucking word.
No, it's great. I'm not roasting you.
The thing that changes the camera lens and focus?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to eat some chicken wings, folks. I'm not going to record a Patreon for this. I'm sorry. If you really want to hear guests eating, bother me more about it, but I don't care enough to struggle with that.
I'll do the Patreon. So come on over to the website I don't have.
Sunee is going to have that Patreon hosted. Have you heard the radio before in your life?
Yes, of course.
All right, I'm going to kick us to break with our signature station identification. You're listening to 91.1. Oh shit, was that another plane? We'll be right back. We're back. We're live. It's the After Hours show, and we're full of chicken.
Yeah.
It's time for a wing review.
Ooh,
Sunee Dhaliwal.
Yeah, the rub is incredible. In fact, I asked for the recipe.
Wings are pretty good too.
Yeah,
that's just my hands, folks. Come on.
I mean, the wings, whatever. I will give it 6 bottles of P. Diddy baby oil.
Ooh,
yeah. So take that for what it's worth, everybody.
I mean, that's worth at least one freak off, right?
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's a lot of baby oil.
I mean, I could probably get 3 or 4 freak offs out of that.
Oh, wow.
Depends how freaky I'm getting. That's pretty crazy, man.
It is. And the segue is perfect. We were talking about conspiracy theories while we're eating the wings. What is your, I guess, like top 3? Or just like one? I guess one real good one.
The moon landing's a fun one.
Yes.
The moon landing's a fun one specifically because the link between the nuclear bomb stuff that happened about 20 years earlier and production and filming around that, and then the moon landing. But I like to think we went to the moon. It'd be like way sad for me to really buy in hook, line, and sinker.
One of my friends, a very funny comedian, Matt Billen, rest in peace, had... Like, I've never not thought we went to the moon, right? Never once. Matt Billen goes on stage and does this incredible, 10, 12 minutes about it.
Wow.
And after that, I was like, yo, bro, did we go to the moon? The one thing that, really stood out, which I thought was hilarious, he goes, and the moon landing happened, what year?
67 or something?
67 or something.
Yeah, let me double check that.
And we watched it on TV, right? 67. We watched it on TV. The picture clear. They were talking on the moon.
69, July 16th, 1969.
On 69. They were talking, and we heard them say their words. Clear picture. I FaceTimed my cousin the other day, or he said like I Skyped with my cousin the other day. It was choppy as shit. And I was like, oh, wow, yeah, you're right. Like, how did we do that? That's it. That was like the one thing that I was like, oh, shit.
That is, that's the part where you do start being like, okay, how?
Yeah, right.
How the heck? Oh, you've got cameras in there. You landed, but you show the landing and you show the takeoff. And like, how'd that camera get there? And like,
I don't think at this point aliens is a conspiracy.
I mean, either they're us or they're something else. But yeah, I think it's pretty confirmed that there's something we aren't being told everything about.
Oh yeah, I mean for sure. There's a lot of things we're not told everything about, but that's because people are dumb, right?
Yeah,
mass hysteria.
They're outside our comprehension. There's some force. Yes, since the 70s, I think. Yeah.
It's so funny that before if anybody was like aliens are real, they were like, oh, this guy's a lunatic,
right?
Which is like such a cocky and egotistical thing to think that we're just the only surviving. Like the vastness of the universe is insane. You can't even comprehend that.
The mathematics of it, like you would have to think that if you believe in infinities, that you're sitting on the side of aliens because just for scale. I don't know how else.
We're the only ones that ever just developed like
time and space. Saying it's unlimited in both ways. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So that to me that would be my one, but it's not even a conspiracy. The Illuminati is a fun one.
I like that
because I just don't. I don't believe that there's a group of people sitting around in a table. Saying how the shit works.
You think they have time to show up at a table?
Right. But also, there are a group of people sitting around a table that decide how shit works. But it's just corporations. It's just media. There's only 3 agencies here in America. There's only 3 networks. You know what I mean? That own everything. It's wild. So they dictate what you're going to listen to. Even now, streaming services like Spotify or whatever. Your wrapped up is going to be Drake. Drake is going to be on there. You never listen to a song of his, and he's your number 1 artist because he means so much to the networks.
Did you see that this week Spotify has been accused through a long-run study that's happened recently of putting fake artists in their playlists, their curated playlists?
Yeah, it's because they own the artist's stuff, and then
the artists aren't even real. They're coming out with now.
Right? Yeah. Okay. Wow. I didn't know that. I don't know. I just knew that if you're signed to a certain label that owns the certain streaming platform, they're going to push them because then they get more.
So I had to do a music credit in college because I went to liberal arts school. Thank goodness, right? They want you to be a well-rounded person.
Of course, yeah. Music.
Actually, really good thing, right?
Yeah.
That you shouldn't just be focused on building a wing on the side of an F-18.
Right.
You're probably not really set out for the life in the world.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm like, music, God, I don't fucking have any talent in this. I can't take record label. So my school had this class where they managed a record label. So I go in and I'm like, all right, I'm interested in learning about the business and the law behind this. And so I just get to teach myself about this industry. It's like, oh my goodness gracious, people don't know about this. We're just all listening to it all the time. We're all walking around this campus all the time and we don't know that we're contributing to this problem.
Right. Yeah. You and when streaming came up, you were like, okay, cool. Like this is, you're going to be able to listen to what you want and have access to it. But no, obviously, anything that gets monetized is going to get gobbled up and it's going to be the exact same thing. And then we need 10, 20 more years before the next thing comes out.
And they figure out they algorithmize down the formula of what they think the art is. Hell, Hot Ones, the podcast,
right,
sold this week their whole network to BuzzFeed, I think it is, their parent company, for $82.5 million. Mm-hmm. And the reason they bought it, these private equity heads, I would urge them to sit down and start a podcast with regular people because they might be better at their jobs. Because they think the reason they bought it, they said, is AI can do this even better.
Oh,
I'm sorry. So a guy started a unique idea, built it into an $82.5 million company, and you're telling me that your takeaway is that the computer can do it next time?
Yeah, you would just put in everything that he's done. And be like, all right, what's the next step?
What are you talking about? Like, no, you should be pushing towards finding that creator that's doing a thing in his garage or this basement or whatever.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But again, they're not
interested in the long. I also think they get wrong with this house stuff and this like market stuff where they're BlackRock's like, no one's going to own anything and it's going to be fine. They're going to be happy. It's like, hey, if you kill hope in people, like if people's hope for the future and perspective dies, I bet your bottom line doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And you won't get this across your head. And that's, I think, where you're not making more money than you could if you said, actually, we probably want these people to be incentivized to want to have a life, job, family, want to put themselves towards goals and dreams. But dude, if people can't pay for groceries or pay to have kids, I think you're hard pressed to sell them a rental-based mindset.
Right. Yeah. This is a comedy podcast, right?
I mean,
this is the hope is gone, man. But yeah, no, but you're 100% right. And you also need the consumer to buy into that stuff. Like the story is just as good as the product.
Yes.
And if you have just like, oh yeah, Walmart owns this, you know what I mean? Like you're not going to listen to a podcast. So it's, yeah, you're 100% correct.
And yeah, you're exactly right. Once the money does get behind those cool niche side things, I bet they change.
Yeah, exactly. So
maybe I'm just preaching to no one and about nothing. We're just sitting by the dock of the bay here, folks.
Yeah, man, we're about to jump in.
But thank goodness it'd rather be here consciously observing what's going on and being a person in this life. That's way cooler going back to the dead-eyed nihilist perspective that I could have slipped into in my life. No.
Yeah.
Like, let's look at the cool things. So yeah. Like you said, comedy podcast, trying to look at the cool stuff. But conspiracy theories, man, they send me down a rabbit hole of like, negativity because it all seems, so big to be able to draw back from.
Right. And also, me and my wife were watching the show, and one of the guys freaked out. It's called The Ultimatum. It's on Netflix. You and your fiance should watch it. And because we just came for the drama. We fast forward through every episode until we get to that couple that we're like, oh yeah, they're fucked up. Let's talk to them. Let's see what they're up to. But there's this one dude who, in the beginning of like one of the episodes, they're talking about how he just stays home all day. And just listens and watches conspiracy theories. And out of nowhere, when they like all the groups, so what it is you have like 4 or 5 couples, and one of which of the people gave the other one an ultimatum of like, hey, we've been together for X amount of years. I want you to marry me. I want us to get married. I think that person's like, I'm not sure. So they go on the show and they talk to the other, the other couples, and everybody's in the same boat. And then they pick who to live with for 3 weeks as a trial marriage. And then they get back and they live with their original partner for 3 weeks. And at the end, they either propose, they either walk away, or they choose the other person that they live with. And so this one guy's living with his new girl, and they meet up again, just the boys. They have a guy's night and they have a girl's night. And the one guy's like, hey man, like how is it living with my girlfriend? And he's like, yeah, everything is great. And he keeps grilling him, and he's like, no, what is it? He's like, man, I don't think she's right for you. He's like, oh, it's because you want her. And he's like, she's mean. I don't want her. I'm scared of her. And he's like, what is it? He's like, I just don't think she respects you. And then he's like, well, what did she say that doesn't make you respect? He's like, grilling. He's trying to get there. And then finally he comes back home, ironically enough, to that guy's original partner. And he's like saying like, your boyfriend, he's a piece of shit. He's trying to steal my girl. And then she's like, I don't think he likes her. He's been texting me like he doesn't like her. He's like, nah, this is a whole thing. And he's like, he says that she doesn't respect me. And he's like, maybe that's true. And he just goes on this whole thing. He's like, no, You're in on it. His parents are in on it.
Whoa.
Because he's a big conspiracy theorist.
Whoa.
So conspiracy theories are dope, but don't make it like your mindset that everyone's out to get you. There is a couple of things that people are out to get you.
You want to know my conclusion I've been trying to spread recently to people?
Please.
And this might be, some people might not like this, but I think it's silly for you to believe that your presence in a place equals an outcome.
Yeah.
I'm not like, what am I? That's silly.
Yeah.
So like, and you might like, this is a big hard splitter sometimes about certain things, but like for you to think that you being there equals an outcome, I think is very egotistical and silly.
Yeah. Anytime, my head gets too big for my britches, I think back to the story of my two friends. They're amazing still. Two of my best friends, I won't say who they are, but one of them broke up with his lady, and we were there for our guy, and then he, like a week and a half later, posts them on his Instagram story of they're going on this date, and then he takes it off. And my one friend calls that guy and goes, "Hey, what's going on?" And he's like, because everybody's thinking that we broke up because I'm no good and whatever, and so I just want to be like, look, where to get. It's not because I'm no good. We're still on dates. If I chose to break up. And then my friend just said to him, "Hey man, no one fucking cares. No one cares. No one thought twice. I just thought it was weird that you posted something and then you took it off. I'm just wondering if you're all right. No one gives a fuck about you." Well, I've never thought, as soon as you guys broke up, I was there for you, and I've never thought about you since. And I think of that moment where, like you said,
especially for dudes, like, let me draw a delineator here so that the ladies don't feel like they're getting hurt. Like, if you're a dude, like, no one gives a fuck about you, man.
Yeah. I mean, because guys have that mindset all the time that every girl wants them.
Yes. I've seen, bro. Yes.
Bro, she said, "Welcome to Earl. She wants me." Like, no, bro. She's just trying to seat you.
She wants to get you in a booth and get you to shut up.
Yeah. I think it's okay. Story I haven't told anybody, and I never will.
I love this.
But here we go.
That's what this show, actually, most guests come on and do this exact thing.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's because, there's like, 4 listeners? So, hey, shout out to you 4. I went to a friend's house. We were watching an outdoor movie. I got bit in the butt by something, like a spider or something.
Okay.
And it's swelled up, and it was clearly infected.
Oh. Right away?
No, not right away. I mean, first I was like, what is going on? And then yeah, like over time it got it bruised more, it got bigger, and to the point where it was uncomfortable for me to stand up. So, because I would be sitting on it, it's on my left butt cheek. I would be sitting down and everything is fine. When I would stand up, I guess like because it was like compressed, and then when I would stand up, like blood would come through it, and it was just so painful. And then standing up, I would be fine until I had to sit down again. And I guess the same reason, right? It's compressing.
Oof.
And my wife's like, "You got to go to urgent care." And I'm like, I refuse to do it. Even this little thing, my tendon came off this bone because I was dunking. Anyway, it's fine. And they're like, "Hey, you might need surgery for this." And I'm like, I refuse. I don't want to do any of this because I've been in Canada my entire life. Nothing wrong has happened. And I'm here since April 1st, and I've been to urgent care like 9 times.
That's a conspiracy, by the way.
Right, there we go.
The government's after you.
Yeah. I think it's all the chemicals in your guys' food.
Facts.
So I go to urgent care, and I was there for all these shots that I had to take to be an American citizen. Literally, they give you a TB shot, Hep C. I'm like, "Oh, I've done this in high school." They're, "Yep, you're going to get another one." And then, so, and there was this old white doctor who was amazing. Him and I talk about golf. So I have to go to this urgent care for this bite. I'm like, let me go to that urgent care because it's going to be this old white doctor I already have a rapport with. If I have to show anybody my butt, it's going to be this guy. And I sit down there, and sure enough, this 20-year-old woman walks in. She's like, "Hi, I'm Dr. Kylie. My pronouns are," like, just super young, very attractive. And I'm just like, "Oh, fuck." And then so I tell her everything, and then she's like, "Cool, can I see it?" And then so I have to drop my shorts, and she's like touching it. She's like looking at it, and then she goes, "Okay, all right." And then she goes back and then writes me a prescription for antibiotics. I'm wearing this hat. It's a Boston Red Sox hat, And she walks in and she goes, all right, so here's your prescription, blah, blah, blah. Here's how to take it. And she goes, hey, are you from Boston? And I just yell out, my wife. And I had nothing. I had no
nothing. Just my
nothing.
wife.
I just yelled out my wife. I was, she's seen my butt. She's touched my butt, and I needed her to know that I was with somebody. So I just say my wife, and I have nowhere to go. And I just went, my wife is from Boston. She's not born and raised here. And then we're like, in fact, Aurora. She went to high school in Aurora. So I went, my wife is from Boston. And then, and then I had to tell, and then my wife again brings me back to reality. She goes, so what, you think this medical professional looked at your butt, your hairy ass with a giant swollen bite on it, and she's like, I want this, I want to fuck this guy. This is what you thought? I'm like, babe, obviously. Like, well, what else would she have thought?
The male brain.
Yeah, like she looked at my butt and she's like, how do I get in that? You know what I mean?
Crazy.
100%.
Dudes rock.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
So funny.
And then she said, she goes, how did she look at it? And I'm like, like what did you do?
Like inquisitively?
Yeah. She's like, so what was the process? She's like, she's so inquisitive about it, And I'm like, what do you mean? And like, she's like, let me see it. So I got up, off my chair, and I pulled my shorts down, and then she looked. So she's like, so she was just like, where was she? Was she standing up? I'm like, no. She goes, so she was on her knees. I'm like, she's a doctor. If any doctor is on their knees, they're not a doctor.
That's so funny. They got that little chair, babe. Come on.
They were sitting. She was sitting down.
They've got that little mobile chair that they scoot around on.
Yeah. Wild. Anyway.
I was thinking about this week. I don't know if this is a decent transition, but it popped in my head while you were telling the story about disclosure paperwork. When you buy marijuana in Colorado now, they make you, if you're getting concentrates, they make you take this flyer. And like, you're going to get cancer. Like, here, take this flyer. You have to by law. And I was joking with the guy today. I'm like, I wish I got one of these when I buy food.
Right.
Like when I get my breakfast cereal, or I don't, but like if I got breakfast cereal, I should get a flyer.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't be allowed to, not take it off the front. I have to take it with me, just like the medical marijuana flyer.
Yeah.
Like I can't throw it away there. If they see me throw it away, it's a problem. Like, no, you have to take this home and read, sir.
Right. You guys don't have warnings on your cigarette packs, do you?
Not as good as Europe and you guys do.
Right.
No pictures
we
of
have
babies.
Pictures.
Yeah.
And that's how addicting smoking is. You'll just see a picture of like someone's mouth just inflamed with like sores and tumors and shit. And you're like, yeah, I'll take that one. Let me get that one. And there's dead babies on it.
It's rough.
Yeah, there's pictures to be like, this is going to happen to you.
Listen,
like,
Philip Morris. There's do you know about Philip Morris buying like food? Like how the tobacco companies, that's a fun, like real conspiracy, is that the tobacco companies realized that sugar was better selling and more addictive at some point. Yeah, and so they changed a lot of their investment structure around being the owner of food and sugar makers.
Yeah. Coffee cream has less sugar than milk. So I have cream with my coffee now instead of, because the sugar is what I'm concerned with.
Yeah.
And like the bread has the sugar, like it's wild how much stuff has sugar in here.
I'll be interested to see if RFK and the Maha like movement is actually, if they can ever actually execute. It seems like there's
Maha?
Make America healthy again is what he's all about. Yeah, that's his thing. Yeah.
Hey.
So
catchy.
But no, not really.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. There's so much money that they're up against that I find it really hard to believe that they're going to be able to actually make any real change.
I think they're a part of the money.
Hey, let me tell you, a flyer that you take home, folks, might be all you get.
Unless Elon Musk makes Tesla sugar.
Just a Tesla sugar.
Yeah.
I want a Tesla phone.
Yeah.
We quickly just become company people without even realizing.
Hey, I will sell out. I stand for nothing.
Do the Tesla circuit for comedy.
Yeah.
I go from supercharger to supercharger all across this country, and
the jokes deliver themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's funny.
You were saying you have been in comedy for 6 years.
I don't know about that. That's probably I wouldn't.
You started 6 years ago.
Yeah, I think that's technically maybe true at this point.
No, I love doing that. I'm like, now when did you start? But obviously,
I'm like a 2-year comic, dude.
Yeah. But I love that just because I started so young. So I'm like, nah, put those years on so I don't feel as bad. Because you see these comics and they're like 3 years in. I'm like, yo, you're incredible for 3 years. Keep at it. And I feel like shit.
Dude, there's this guy that recently that I'm just. He's coming on the pod coming up, but his name's Nate Malouf. Got like a couple hundred followers. Just a dude. I think if he sticks at it, he could become like Mitch Hedberg. He's like one-liner kind of style, like totally deadpan, like delivery, just absurdly funny, weird, like things. And it's like, damn, dude, keep at it. Because I just want to, and it makes me want to quit. It's like, I'm never going to be as funny as this fucking guy, and he's barely into it. So
yeah, I had like a bunch of moments where I'm like, I got to quit comedy. And it was never about my set. It was always about other people's. It was, Erwin Barker was the first one. Rest in peace to Erwin. He already established Canadian comedian, one of the greats, and he had cancer, and he did a last tour basically because he's like, this is it for me. So let me do this tour. They gave him like a month to live, and this tour, I believe, prolonged his life to 10 months, and he had an hour, and he did it at the most difficult comedy venue in Vancouver. And it's difficult because it's a restaurant, but people, the Vancouver comedians loved it because it was so difficult, because their staff didn't care. They were loud and whatever. So it's like, if you can kill here, it's going to be great. And so he goes on stage and he has this incredible hour set just about his cancer, like brand new stuff. And I'm like, I'm not good anymore. You know what I mean? The one joke was, his wife, got him a book, called, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. And he was reading it on the plane and someone spilled coffee on it. He's like, this whole world's against me. And it was just, I was like, I don't have that, And so, well, luckily I didn't. But yeah, that, like, it's just seeing someone so incredible, so far ahead that you're like, can I ever catch up to that?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
But I think that's you should have that lens, hopefully.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Versus the lens of like, not, I don't know. I feel like there can be a necessary or just a toxicity to open mic culture at some stages where it's like people don't want to laugh for other people or just too like in their own heads about things. But it's like, dude, like if you don't like love the thing, I'm guessing in the long run thing's not going to work out.
Yeah. You gotta, like, I watch every single show. I sit in the back. I watch every comic just because I love it. I love other people's takes on stuff. It's just so funny. We were talking about our friend Matt Kobos. He, I think, is super hilarious.
So funny.
So I just say yes to his shows, even though out of my way, it's not really a show I would ever do. But I just I'm in the back just watching him. Like he's incredible. It just, especially a 2-man show like he has. It's called Thick Skin
with Mike Stanley.
Mike Stanley, also great, from New York. Mike, says these jokes and riffs and he's super funny, and Matt just hangs back. And then as soon as I don't know how they learned it, but their spacing is just incredible just to watch, where no one talks over each other. It's almost like they're setting up each other's jokes, or Mike does a joke and then Matt tags it, and it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
It's got to be reps. Just got to be like friends for that long and reps together.
Right. It has to be. My friend and I, Sterling Scott, are doing a 2-man show.
Fuck yeah.
As well. But we're doing it a little bit differently, where we have jokes together and then individually. And it's fantastic. That is like a completely different animal, where I was like, that's fantastic. Where you just go on and just talk.
Oh, yeah.
Sterling and I can do that, but we're going to talk over each other.
Right.
We're both like, we're in sync, but we're both trying to.
Yeah.
We're both trying to get that dunk.
I totally understand.
Yeah.
Both throwing off the backboard, both trying to catch it off the backboard.
Yeah.
It's tight.
Or someone else threw it off the backboard and we're both trying to catch it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what's that show going to be called? Do you guys have that a venue or anything?
No. So we're going to do, we're going to start it off in Canada.
Oh, okay.
Canada-wide tour. I don't think we have a name yet. I should know this. I don't think we do. Okay. I think we're just trying to work on the venue and stuff. He's, that's the other thing too, is like, he's out of here. You know what I mean? Like that guy, he, Golden Buzzer winner, for Canada's Got Talent.
Wow. And
now he's, partnered with Live Nations just to do, a Canadian run.
Wow. Good for him.
Sterling Scott is his name.
Shouts out, brother.
Yeah, he's incredible. When I'll be
coming to Comedy Works, brother. I'd love to see you.
Well, when I'm headlining Comedy Works, that was my first hey, I got somebody to open for me, but that'll be later on in the year.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
That's exciting, man. Good for you.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
So how many you guys like big run of dates over the summer, you're saying?
Yeah. As soon as we lock down the venues, it'll be, yeah.
That's exciting, man.
Yeah.
There's so many different things to this business, to comedy.
Mm-hmm.
So how old were you when you first got like an agent?
Oh, so in Canada, you don't really need a comedy agent. It's so small, you know. Obviously everybody knows the population in Canada. It's less than the population of California, and so it's all word of mouth. You know, there's only a certain number of rooms, only a certain number of comics. So when you start out, you kind of become your own agent, or you get with a comedy club, and one of the biggest comedy clubs in Canada is Yuck Yucks.
Yeah. Or
you can stay independent, and you do all the independent rooms, right? Which are then you have to have a relationship with those certain clubs, like all of them. So you get to a certain point. Excuse me, chicken. You get to a certain point, and
that's that 6 bottle P Diddy bottles of oil,
of whatever, baby oil, of Ciroc. You get to a certain point, and you basically meet all the big names in the comedy scene, and wherever they're at, you can just basically make a relationship with them. I started opening for comics, going on the road, and then the venue would just the booker agent would just ask, hey, how did the opener do? Oh, he did well. You know, you do well enough where they're like, all right, cool. Now you don't even need someone to bring you on the road. We just need an opener for this room. So can you go there? Then it got to being a headliner, and then just across the country, just by word of mouth and everything. And but I did have a acting agent right away. I had it before I started comedy.
Wow.
Yeah, I had it in when I was 19 years old, because I thought, I'm going to be an actor.
Dang.
But then comedy took off.
Was that your dream as a kid, to be an actor?
Yeah. I mean, well, my dream as a kid, they changed a lot.
Yeah.
So the first dream I think I ever had was just would be a police officer. And then, of course, be in the NBA, then a rapper, and then actor.
Nice.
Yeah, in that order. So everything failed until comedy.
And then you just found comedy after the acting.
Yeah, I mean, I loved stand-up comedy, but that was my dream, and I just didn't want that to fail. Because then, you know, at the time I was working at Staples, and I'm like, man, if I do this show and I bomb, then I just work at Staples. You know, that's my reality. You know?
Damn, I don't know. I guess maybe I'm lucky that I've pushed through over this barrier with the pod, because like you joked about earlier, like I did a pod in the dark for like fucking less than 30 listeners for most of the whatever. And it's like people, early days, I remember early days, people were like, why are you still doing it? And then it came around to like, I had someone recently, a comic, ask me to come on. And it was like, okay, like here's the full circle of like, it's, again, no one gives a fuck. And thank goodness, because that's not what it's about, right?
And also, like, you have to start at zero.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I've never understood that. Unless you're famous or unless you have a big platform already.
Dude, and the fact that I get, honestly, I reframed. I did a yearly reflection. I'm like, all right, let's look at this. I don't really care, watch the numbers, because it's not what it's about. Work 60, 70 hours a week, you know, whatever. So I reflected, and I'm like, I'm like in the top, like 1% of podcasts.
Oh, sick. That's amazing.
Like in terms of, because like if you do more than 10 episodes just total, you're in like top 10% or whatever, because people just do a couple and then quit.
Right.
Or whatever.
Yeah, no, that's
like, and so to kind of just be like, oh, and then you wrap around with these perspective things of like, dang, I got to talk to my high school English professor, my uncle, the first in the family to go to college, went to MIT from Bodunk, Iowa. Like, you know, these random people that I have never met before, that I get an hour and a half with, that I learn something from, that I get to walk through life with a lesson. Like, why am I doing this, dude? Like,
no, it's amazing. And like, so you're the top 1%, you said?
Or what? I don't even.
Yeah. These are like OnlyFans percentages, right?
Yeah.
Where everyone's like 0.1%. I don't know, babe.
It's like
I don't know.
It's like that, Sunny.
I've never.
It's like that, where it's purely a scale based thing. I was trying to reassure myself based on scale. 5.5 is just fine. Exactly, you get it.
Yeah. That's my job as a comic. I'm like, whatever you say, I gotta shut down.
Yeah, please do.
That's fine. It's the opposite of improv, where you like,
yeah, you know,
I'm with it. I'm like, nah, I hate everything. The starting at zero funny story. Again, never told anybody. I had a very toxic ex-girlfriend, and I didn't realize that all of the things that she was saying that was wrong with the relationship was her. Right, like, but she was just like, it was like
she was good marketing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but like, it's actually kind of genius to be like, if you know what you're doing wrong, and then being like, the other person is doing it, it's fucking crazy. It's a mind fuck. And I was like, wait, I'm doing that? I thought you were okay. It was I think like what do they call it? Reflecting?
Gaslighting, right?
Yeah, gaslighting for sure. But
yeah, projecting.
That's it. So
for sure, projecting.
And as one of the things was is like, she's like, your drinking is out of control. You're drinking. It's, you know what? I just can't take it. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool, because like, you know, we would drink together. Like, you know what I mean? It was just fine. Everything was fine. So I was like, okay, cool. I'll tell you what. I'll do this. I will stop drinking. And then I think she said something else.
Well, like, don't do that.
Yeah. She said something else, and then I'm like, all right, cool, I'll stop that. So I'm like, I'll stop this, I'll stop that, and I'll stop drinking. And we still continue to have huge fights, giant blow-ups. But now also I haven't been drinking, so I'm less susceptible to engage in what she's saying.
In horseshit.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just like super calm. And that's the thing with someone that's just irate, is if you're super calm, it makes them that much more, first of all, seem that much more irate, but also makes them more crazy because they're not getting a reaction out of you. And I said this one time where I was like, all right, listen, obviously something else is wrong, right? You know, it's, you told me to do this, I stopped doing that. You told me to do this, I stopped doing that. You told me to stop drinking. I haven't had a sip of alcohol, and we're still doing these fights. And her thing was, oh, what? You haven't drank in 7 days? Good for you. I'm like, it starts at day one. Like, what do you mean? It's just, we've been fighting every single day. So I'm just bringing this up now. Like, yeah. If we stopped fighting, and it was, you know, 3 years. This is not
a light switch.
Yeah, it's not like I'm sorry that, you know, it's been only 7 days.
It's like so much of modern culture is a binary of like love or hate, or like reactionary bullshit of like it's either perfect or it's not, or like you're either made or you're not, or you're a professional or you're not. It's like, bro, like I had to remind myself, like, oh, I got paid to do a spot of comedy this week.
Yeah. No, you have a really
oh, dude, like, fuck, dude, like, do your accounting job and don't like be sad. Like, do your job. Like, it pays to put the lights on and whatever else pays to put the meat on the grill. And like, stop being so thinking you matter enough to be up your own ass about your situation. Like, you got paid $20 to do a comedy spot or whatever. Like, dude, this is the dream. Reframe.
No, you have a really good mindset.
Dude, I haven't always had this. I think it's a prefrontal lobe thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have the opposite. But yeah, I was just saying, like, with the 7 days, it starts somewhere. It was just kind of like your listeners, right? Like, it's good. It has to start from zero. You know,
yeah, but we'll have to nuke these episodes, Sunee.
Oh, right. Yeah,
if it ever blows up, this will be the Old Testament of MSSP. Like, no one will find that.
Yes. No, yeah, exactly. And then you just bring them back on, right? When you blow up, bro. That's awesome. I love it. I've said
it for a while, but like, I don't know where I would shake out in the long run or whatever. But like, dude, I think I actually care and love this. I think I've recognized that, like, man, here's a fun story that you might enjoy. In high school, I was smart and did well, whatever. Thought I was going to go into college and try to go to law school.
Humble brag. Hey, I
just worked real hard.
Law school.
Yeah. You went to law school?
Yeah, that was where I was projecting. And now look at me now.
How about that?
In this side room garage?
Yeah, garage.
It is a garage.
The garage.
I call it a car hole. Go ahead. Sorry.
The port. So I'm taking this elective class senior year. It's like my one fun blow-off class, Earth Space Science, which in Boulder, Colorado is pretty cool. We get to go to the planetarium on CU's campus, get to see all the rocks, learn about 250 million years of geology. My professor, last day of class, before I go to turn my project and leave, he goes, hey, sit down for a second. I want to talk to you. He goes, listen, I don't know if you need to hear me when I say this, but I hope you do. Like, you've got an influence on people around you. It's clear you make an impact on your classmates or whatever. Like, this is a power. I don't know if you recognize it at this young stage or whatever, but like, this is a power. I would implore you, when you got into the world, use this power for good. So then, 4 years later, I'm going to submit my applications. I'd already taken the LSAT, done all the college, went through the mud because it's what you're supposed to do. And it's like, oh, is this using my powers for good? And something was off. And so I didn't do it. And then the pandemic hit 2 months later.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh,
You're the reason.
I was like, oh, damn. Yeah, I did it by not applying to law school for sure.
Yeah.
It wasn't the long run experimental research in labs that they didn't used to do.
There we go. That's the conspiracy. Yeah, it was at a bat.
Well, what they did is they didn't used to do what is it called? It's where they make viruses more dangerous for the benefit of studying the viruses. They didn't do this for a while because it's dangerous.
Yeah.
And then they switched course on this because they have danger, I'm sure, public health. And then that has, I think, since rolled itself into being part of what contributed to the big COVID crisis. But
right. I mean,
points aside,
please.
I'm not going to ever, even if I did go back to law school and became a lawyer and did the normie route, I'm still going to be a comic at heart. So if I never make it as a stand-up myself and I become comedy's Narnward and I interview you in 20 years and I tell you some crazy fact about your middle school and I've got a thing that I give you and you're like, how the fuck did you know?
Right. It's a Frisbee.
Because I have to.
Right.
Because I have to, because I'm intolerable and I have to know. That's cool with me, man.
Yeah.
And I think, if I keep getting to meet cool people like you, dude, I'm just thankful. I'm really thankful.
If comedy is your, what's in your heart, you're always going to do it. There was a doctor when I was on starting out in Vancouver, there was a legitimate practicing doctor that did stand up. And
wow.
he would go.
That's cool.
Basically work at urgent care, and see all these patients and everything is great. And then, hit the comedy club. He was fantastic. And so if you, did the normie route, became a lawyer, there is, and this is obviously your whole thing isn't for financial gain, but there's a huge market for doing seminars, of something that that you're skilled at, just a subject, but then also making it entertaining and funny. So he had that. He didn't need, if there was any kind of
doctor conference
or whatever, they would just hire him because he's a comic, but he's also a doctor. So
wow, so maybe don't give up on the law school dream. God, I've been struggling recently.
Honestly, no, you're not giving up. Just do what you like. I've had a bunch of deaths in my family, and
me too,
the biggest one, it
sucks, dude.
Yeah,
it's brutal.
It is. It's all sorts. The biggest one was my father, and when that happened, I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to do anything that I don't want to do anymore. If I'm with a group of people and I don't like one of them or them, I'm not going to feel like a piece of shit by saying, hey, I have to leave. I don't want to be here. You guys aren't cool. So, you know what I mean? Because I used to just be the whole, just put up with it, be the old Canadian thing, or it's like, no, it's impolite to do this or say this. And then, feel terrible because I was doing something I didn't want to do. And then also it was bad for me and whatever. And now it's just like, you know what? I'm still going to be the same guy, same qualities, just try to be kind to one another. But then if there's something that is not working for me, I'm not going to feel a type of way to say no to it. Hey, don't like this. I'm leaving.
Yeah. How did you get to that wise perspective in your life? Was it
just because of my father's
just the loss?
Just purely the loss. Just purely that loss. Damn. Where it's just like, man, this sucks.
That sucks. That such shitty that you have to have such a pivot, a loss like that, or a life experience that's horrible to that stage. God,
yeah, no, it was just so brutal, and obviously it wasn't right away. It wasn't a switch. It was very dark times, and then finally, you know what? Give me something that actually brings me back to where I used to be, and then all that brought me here to Denver. I would never have. There's, I started with this tour where I went to New Orleans. I go to New Orleans every year. Went to New Orleans, did a show out in San Antonio, and then I had a layover in Denver. Now, usually I would be like, okay, just get home. But I was like, I've never been to Denver before. So let me change this layover into a stopover, have a couple of days, watch a Nuggets game, big Nuggets fan. And then, you know, I look up one of my friends is performing. He's a famous comedian. Let me go check him out. He throws me on stage. It was fantastic. I'm like, you know what? This is great. And, you know, met my wife. And that all led to this. So, yeah, it's do what you want to do. You know, don't be selfish about it. But like,
bro, you met your wife over that stopover?
Yeah.
Life is so cool.
Life is awesome, man. If you have that lens.
Yeah.
You gave me a very big compliment with you know, just my nature and the light I bring. After my father passed, that light went away, and I didn't know that other people could see it. I thought it was just like an internal thing. But and it has, after, you know, that life lesson, and I finally, you know, battled back, it kind of replenished it and all this stuff. So yeah, if you want to do something, if you don't like something, you know, you don't have to do it. I'm not saying quit your job, right? But, you know, just do something that you love and brings joy to you.
And you can do a job, like, I mean, I don't have all the answers, but like doing a job that, you know, you might not always fulfill you in all moments or whatever. It might not be the long run goal, but like, damn, the job also provides you like other things, and like, don't shortcut those. Like, don't quit your job tomorrow to have nothing. Yeah. Right. Like a good point.
Yeah. And also, and you're so right. So do you do accounting? What's your day job?
Yeah. It's like accounting, finance, private equity. Yeah.
I used to work at a lumber mill. Yeah. And then drive an hour to do stand up. Like, you can have your joy, and then but this is you know, is what is paying my bills. So
how long was it before you were just stand up?
I think 3 years. I think 3 years of doing comedy, and then I was like, okay, yes, yeah. And then 3 or 4, I want to say. Because in 3 years of comedy, I did my own comedy special on our comedy network in Canada. And it was the fastest that anybody had ever done it to that point. And now they don't have it. Now they don't have those comedy specials anymore.
Is there a way people can find it if they want to?
I don't know. I know I have a DVD. DVD is a thing back in the day of it. But yeah, I don't know. I would have to check it out.
You should put that are you like able to like rip it and put it on YouTube if you wanted to?
And I should. And I definitely should. It's awful. Right. But yeah, it was great. It was great at the time.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It was the first time I ever went to Toronto.
Wow.
Oh, wait, no. Did I go for a basketball tournament? The second time I ever went to Toronto. Okay. That was my whole big thing back in the day, is I'm not going to a place until I get paid to go to that place. And it was brutal. But it did finally eventually work out where I was getting paid to go to these places to perform. Yeah. But yeah. I digress.
That's a hard part about carving it out like an independent, like you're saying, is you have to like have that long run grind out mindset to get to those new places, and that's not easy.
Yeah, so. But the one thing was not only did like everybody in the scene help me because they're just very nice comedians and people, but also I had such fun on stage that it was like a blur. You know, it didn't matter how long you told me to stay on stage. I could fill it. The material sucked, but I was just having such a good time. Like I watch back, you know, the stuff that I did, and some of it is not even jokes. It's just me laughing on stage, and the crowd's going nuts because they're like, this guy's having a good time.
It's amazing how much of it really, more than it gets credit for, it is a hypnotics act. And if you're having a good time, the crowd will also have a good time.
Right. Yeah.
I'm struggling with that too, because I don't think I always am good about having a good enough time.
Right. Yeah. Just I that's what I say before anybody goes on stage. If I'm back there and they're about to go on stage, I'll always say have fun. Like that's like if you had a good time, even if the crowd did it, at least you didn't lose, you know? It's like, I had fun. I enjoyed myself, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And because 90% of the time, the crowd, at least this is how it should be, the crowd had a good time and you didn't. That's 90% of it.
That's rough.
Yeah.
And then how do you keep at it if you're not having a good time?
It's your job.
Yeah.
You know, like, hey, they bought the ticket, right? They're paying you, right? You're probably not having a good time at accounting.
Yeah.
But, bro, you got to do it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right? Like, you're not always having a good time. Like, you're going to, Like when I say that, it's like the show went well. Everyone laughed. You're getting this energy, but you've done it before. So it's not like a big thing where you're like, man, that was so fun. Yeah, it was fun for them, sure. But I have a good time when something organic happens and it was like the whole, like it was just everything of the show, or I'm trying out a new joke and it works. Or
was there a certain part of your career progression through the art form where it reached that stage of
being like my job and like not fun, as fun as it used to be? There was, but I don't know when it was. I think like there's the art side of comedy, which I truly enjoy and I love it, and then the business side of comedy, which is not that fantastic. So maybe it was one of those. Maybe it was one of those where I flew away from my family, got put up in a terrible hotel room, didn't get paid enough, and worked my ass off for them, and they were like, "Man, we had record numbers," and I'm like, "Great, I'm gonna go fuck myself now," because it just didn't add up. The math wasn't mathing, But maybe that's what it was. But it's the comedy I enjoy, and that's why I still like go and watch a show, even if I'm like, there's nothing new for me to do. At least I'm gonna see a comic that I've never heard before,
right?
And they're gonna be, I still enjoy it. That part I enjoy.
It seems like I just am trying to garner knowledge from people that are much further along the path. And it seems like those that have the good perspective find a way to make fun of it along through the boring or monotonous bullshit of what isn't the best parts of it,
Right. Yeah. There's not going to be like a timeline of like, all right, year 5, you're going to just fucking, you're going to just be up there. But also that's another thing as well, is just because you're not having a good time doesn't mean you should portray that. Doesn't mean that you should deliver your jokes any softer. Just because you haven't written a new joke and you're not excited about this joke, this joke always works. You still should deliver it with the same vigor as when you first wrote it. It's not their fault that you haven't written a new joke, right? So you still have to, perform in a way. Even if you're not like, you're like, oh man, I'm over this joke. All right, well, write a new one. But in that time, give them what they paid for.
Yeah.
Don't take it out on them.
Facts.
Yeah. There's sometimes where I've seen comedians where it's like, not a big turnout and they ridicule the crowd.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, like, don't get mad at them. They came. Be mad at everybody else that stayed home. Like that's who you should be mad at.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, and those can turn sour quick if someone really decides to go in on that.
Right. And it's so silly. Like, why would you? Wow. See, that's
not productive. Not productive for sure.
Yeah.
Well, shoot, man. I want to get a little more organic time with you before we have to wrap up. But before you leave, I want to make sure I get you hided. Have you heard of England?
I've heard of yeah.
You've heard of England?
I'm a Canadian and my parents are from India. I've definitely heard of England. Fuck them.
Amen. We're on the same team.
Yeah.
They've got this silly little thing they do over there called knighting.
Oh, getting hided.
Here at Top Shelf Studios, after a long form conversation, I'm doing the hiding because all my life people have been like, and I'm sure you experienced this, they'll go, "You play basketball? How's the weather out there?" And shit like this.
Yeah.
Because of our tall frames that we exist in.
Right.
But I don't know if you've come to learn this, but it's my conclusion that this is just a vehicle, a vessel, a meat suit, sack, if you will.
Yeah.
We seem to judge each other on these things that we drive around more than anything else, but it is just a vehicle. So after a long form conversation, I'm very grateful to give you a heart height. How tall do you stand physically?
I always say 6'5", but I think it might be a little bit more, but I'm going to say 6'5".
All right. I heart height the Sunee Dhaliwal.
Thank you.
6'10".
Yeah.
It's a large heart. You might need some surgery on that bad boy at some point, but
right.
You are a kind guy with a good perspective. Obviously, you're a hardworking grinder who chases after what means the most to him in life. Mm-hmm. Man, I would love to have you back whenever you'd like to be back.
Yeah,
cook your chicken again. But
I will. Next time I'm back, I will make you that chicken marinade. The jerk. Sorry, the jerk marinade. Yeah, and then we'll do that.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Where can the people check you out?
At Sunny D Comedy on Instagram, at Twitter, and TikTok. I'm not active on Twitter X or TikTok that much, but I will be. So.
Same for me, folks.
Yeah, get there first. Get those numbers up, and then hey, you never know. I'll drop a video. I'll drop before you even know it, like Kendrick.
Amen.
Yeah.
And you got some dates coming up in Denver.
It's not,
this will probably be out, I would have to think. It might be out before this first date, but plug them both.
Okay. January 15th and January 21st.
Yes, it'll be out.
Both at Comedy Works. January 15th will be at the Downtown Club, and the 21st will be at the South Club. Please come out. It's my first time headlining at those clubs. It's going to be fantastic.
Folks, I don't ask very much of you.
Yeah,
I really don't. I give you a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I know a lot of you live in this fine state. Please come out and see this guy. He will make you laugh all night long. He'll have you in stitches. Just come out. Buy a ticket. Support him.
Come out.
Come on.
Yeah, the CU season is over. Come down from Boulder.
You got no excuses. Come on.
Ain't nothing happening in Pueblo. Come down. Lafayette, bro, you're not laughing yet until you come to the show. All right.
Fuck yeah. Live pictures.
Hell yeah.
Always and forever. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Please go follow Sunee and go buy tickets to that show.
Peace.
Fuck off and be well.